I want to continue what we said last week. I talked also in the Yeshiva that Sari Meinu was the foundation stone for revealing to the world that now is starting miracles for the Jewish people, and it's a mitzvah to mefarsein, to announce publicly the greatness of the Almighty. Kiddush Hashem, that is, and so therefore, Sari Meinu, who was a very private, tznuah woman, so Avram Avinu makes a comment to her in the Medrash and said, listen, you're too much tznuah, now's the time to reveal yourself, and you have to remove your privacy and feed all these babies that are coming now. All the women who are crying, they say, maybe you can feed my baby, and feed my baby, feed the babies. So Mustam also, she lost her in privacy, she felt something happened, but she did it. So I want to explain that a little bit. I want to explain what is meant here, and go a little deeper into it. The mind we mentioned has about 1,000 billion cells. I don't know how many, but a very large amount. And the mind is a machine. It works on a certain pattern. And the machine knows right and wrong, tov and ra, which we ate from Eitz Hadas. And animals don't have tznius, don't have this idea of shame or idea of privacy or whatever you want to call it, busha, tznius. They don't have that. It's only the human being who has the idea of knowing right and wrong, and the machine of the brain and the soul knows right and wrong. When there's a certain part of them which will create a certain part that they hide, a tznius, a certain modesty. And the Torah requires of the human being to have this type of modesty, since we are created that way, and that's part of our nature, and therefore there's a requirement to have tznius. For a woman, tznius, you think he only has the function of covering her hair and her legs and her body, etc. But tznius is a quality for men and women. It says the pasuk Chatzno Leches of Hashem. You have to be modest and tznius. I don't know how to translate the word. And this refers to man and woman, except usually the essence of a woman we mentioned is usually her tznius, which refers to a bina, which is her inside of the person, which has to do with the seichel, with the mind, of knowing tov and ra. The reason why animals don't have it, they don't have chachma. Says, this is the Orchas Hadikim says, Shlo Yirisa Baishan Chasadat, Shlo Yitaiton Belida Baishan. You will not find a person who has intellect or deep understanding that's not an edel, a person who has a little sensitivity called busha. Busha is, let's say, modesty, privacy. I don't know how to translate the word. You can't, somebody who has busha, somebody who doesn't have das. In other words, you can't have a person who has busha that doesn't have das. You have people who don't have busha. So like they're missing das, they're missing right and wrong, values. There's a certain quality missing. It's a coarseness and open. What an openness. Like not a question how do we use it, we use it for against Averis, etc., etc. And the one who now how do you do tshuva? Well, since the mind has to do with right and wrong, and you feel somehow internally the machine does not work right, so therefore you'll feel a little embarrassed or feel bad or about it, so therefore that helps gets the sensitivity in order for a person to change. In other words, why do we call a chassid, like these chassidim? I want to be a chassid. What is basically the root of chassidus? Again, busha, that they get white. In other words, when they do things, they're so sensitive on what's happening with people of right and wrong, so they're more super sensitive than others, so they'll get whiter faster and better. They're called chassid. This is what it says here. It said chassid al shem haboshes ki chassid lashon lovenu ki targuma shel chasida hu chavorito. Another reason is he has to get white in order to do the mitzvahs. He embarrasses himself in order to do the mitzvahs. That's called a chassid. So we'd call then, if you translate, what would you call Sarah now? Because she was like embarrassed and her privacy was given up, and what? So we'd call her a chassidah. Because she held back and held her embarrassment in order to do the Ratzon Hashem, which is the will of Hashem, which is the Yirat Shamayim. That's what it says. They bring a pasuk in Tehillim. By having these qualities, you'd have the quality of Nevuah. And it could be that Sari Meinu, as we mentioned originally, she before she was married or to Abba Avinu, she had Nevuah. She had this called Yisko. She was able to see things and understand what's happening. And so the pasuk in Tehillim in Pei Tes says, "Oz dibarta bechozoin lachasidecha." And therefore it'll get come to busha. And we say the fear will come in your face, not the sin. That'll be the busha. Okay. Not you're not allowed to embarrass anybody, but the quality of what busha is. And from busha you'll get anova. You get to be humble. You get anova. Okay. That's the basic thing of our chesed. Now we'd like to get into the problem in more detail. We want to talk now about Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu, thank you very much. Yaakov Avinu, he has to get married, so he leaves his father. He has to run away from his brother Asa being killed. He goes to has no money, and he goes to where his mother comes from, and his ancestors come from, his grandparents come from, and there he comes without money. And right away he sees Rachel, and right away he says, "Can I help you? I'll help you with the sheep." And he pushes away the stone and pushes away the things. He helps feed the animals, and right away Lavan sees he's a good worker, and he says, "Okay, you can stay with me." And he keeps him working on for many years, 7 years and 14 years, for all the women, all his wives and his children. And as he's ready working after the 7th year, a strange thing takes place. Vayomer Yaakov el Lavan, and Yaakov says to Lavan. Now he's ready. He's demanding already. He worked 7 years. He got Leah. Now, once we get Rachel, so he says to her, "Vayomer el Lavan, Hava es ishti, bring me my wife. Ki molo yomai, because my days are finished already. V'ovo aleha, and I want to already have children from her." Okay, those who know Hebrew understand. The Hiksha Rashi, Zal, Baloi Kal Shebakalam Eino Oimer came. How can Avinu Yaakov speak such a way like that? It's uncouth, unnice, it's not serious. It's not nice. Bring me my wife so I can be with her. You don't speak like that. That's not a way to speak. That's not a nice thing to do. It's busha. I mean, how can he speak like that? Where's his busha? What happened? This is what Rashi asked. Those are what Rashi. So Rashi answers, Eloholid told those Omarkach. He did it in order to, that he had to tell children. So what? He had children, so why not children? That's what you speak, that's what you do. So it was one of the great rabbis, Yisrael Mishachachov, he was one of the great rabbis. A Hasidic rabbi was a big time. He wrote Iglei Tal, he wrote Shalosh and Shul, very big man. So he still should have had tznius, so he answers. I really wanted a photostat this year. Okay, what happened? I brought the wrong book, so I sent them to bring it on the way. I was going to photostat it. I want you to read inside. It's a very important piece. It says, Kamo, Shi Yaakov Avinu hoya mitzava kamo tefillin o tzitzis, ukamo shoya eitz ha'odam rishon koydem ached. Since to him life, everything was Yirat Shamayim and a chefza, an object of tefillin mitzvahs, like he's by Odom Arishon before he sinned. It was in a pure form way. Im Kain, Shapi Yishlom Bepshita Shabu Alishtom Bogoyna. Ach Tzorach Loim Lehida Eitz Yaakov Vinu Hoya Kain. Kol Mokivin Eitz Ol Kol Oidam Yesh Bezet Taiva. Gam Kain. V'yesh Bezet Gedet Tzniya Shlo Ledaber Kach. Lo Hoya Tzorach Yaakov Avinu Ledaber Loshen Kazeh. Kishoya Nira Beini Olam Karochut Min HaTzniyah. He has a very big kasha. Okay, he's a pure person, and a pure person, okay, you understand it, but how can he speak since the world knows that this is like a lust and a thing, and not a nice thing, so you have to act with tznius. Now I want to explain why. Because in the eyes of the world, it's not tznius, because it's very simple. Let's talk about eating. The eating, to us, we come from a Western world where people eat in the street. Right? Eat in the street, and we say anybody eats in the street, the halacha is he's pasalatus. We don't accept it. Today, you go in America and you see all these terrible things of unsneezed things in the street. Boys, girls, right in the street. What do you know what's happening? They think it's kef and it's good. Why? Because they lost all seichel of right and wrong, and they lost all their. They don't have any tznius. There's no tznius. It's all tznius is gone. There's no tznius. Years ago, a person got divorced was terrible. Today, divorce. One of the other have them. You are now one of the 20 million people in the world. Good. Divorce. So some years ago, there was a certain sensitivity. A lot of these sensitivity, right and wrong, are all gone. Doesn't exist anymore. Why? Because years ago, when a person would eat, it's also not nice. How can you as a human being eat? How can you live after your lust, desires, your tithers? Today, the world is different. What do you mean? I can't be frustrated. I express my feelings, I have to decide my wants, my wills, my desires. I'll get sick otherwise, and I'll be, who knows what, I'll hold myself in and I'll disappear and I'll have a nervous breakdown. I got to express my inner feeling, my being. All the tznius is just out of the window. All the ra and tov is just gone out. The person becomes very base and low, and like the animal in the street does these terrible things. The terrible does these things, which is, in the world, no, you got to go back to fundamental, natural things. It's normal and natural. So, years ago, in my mother's day, mother would tell me the story, in Boston area, they had, we call the nude club. The people there would go swimming. Imagine in Boston area, nude, very bad. My mother told me the story. My uncle really told me the story. In his days, there's these ladies in the organization, the Bostonian ladies, some Bostonian ladies, they're complaining in court about this nude colony. And this is the joke, but it's really a true story, but it's a joke. They go to court, they're fighting, and then they say, how come, where do you live? You live 5 miles away from this place. How come it's bothering you? He said, well, we put on our binoculars. My mother comes, we see it. So the case was dismissed. But there is a problem. That's a true story. There is a problem that all the tznius, all the inner feelings are gone. People want to break it. They want to get rid of all this thing to have unisex and all these types. So the tznius of a person is, how can you eat? Bal taiva. You're supposed to be cool, you're supposed to be an image of God. and pure and holy. And now, what are you? You're like an animal. No feelings, no right, no wrong, no busha. Busha went out of the window. Doesn't exist. So that's a real problem. So that's what he says. Kololim yesh bazeh taiva. I said, after they high least it's a busha with taiva should be tznius. How come Yaakov Avinu talked in such a way in the world? Okay, tznius in the world. Okay, you're not. So Rashi answers. Elohelu told us, Omakach, V'hainu Akim Yaakov Rotzel Bezeh, Elohelu told us, Belitin Ben Koyach Emes, Kamo Shenemar Titin Emes LiYaakov, Hoyamuchach Lahagid B'Loshen Ramiti, Kifi Masharoye Etzlo. V'doma Zeh Lo Yotze Migeda HaTznius Klal. Kiven She'etzlo Hoya Zeh Mitzvah K'chol Mitzvah, Hoyaroye Lezeh Hadibu Lotzen Pil Mitzvah. So the answer is very simply. It's hard to hear the answer because we are so far away from what a mitzvah is doing, a mitzvah purely. The main thing of a woman is Yirat Shamayim. And there's certain times when she has to give up her tznius, kvodas bas melech penima, being in the home, or whatever she has to do. She has to do things for the family. What's she going to do? She has to do these things. She has to, if she doesn't do it, that family will collapse. When do it, there's so many kids sick. She has to push on a line. She has to do whatever she has to do in order to get ahead. Where's the tznius? So what do we say? Do we say that tznius is gone and she loses her tznius? What happens is we have to say that what is tznius built upon? Tznius man has to be built upon God-fearingness, doing God's will. So if you're really pure in God's will and you're doing His will, and you say, this is my what I have to do, my role, what I have to do. It's not for myself and not this and that. It's not because I got to get it and I must, I'll be frustrated and I'll be sick and my desires and blah, 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 and I need justice and this and all kinds of stories in the world. But you're doing it because it's your Shamayim. This is the correct thing to do because this is what the Almighty said, which is beyond our rules and regulations. It's a different set of values, a higher set of values. At that point, when the woman does that, so it's not out of the get of tznius. Although, sorry, Meinu, you say too much tznius, therefore what? What, she lost her tznius? She had Yirat Shamayim. She was able to say, no, I listen to my husband, this is a mitzvah to mafarsing, to announce that miracles are now starting with the Jewish people and my children now. And I have to announce it, and I have to be sober, I have to absorb the busha that I'm having, that I'm removing my privacy. But since I know that this is for a mitzvah, and I'm doing it because of a mitzvah of Yirat Shamayim, at that point, she may have lost some of the emotional feelings, but down deep, she became a stronger woman and a more Yirat Shamayim. And her deeds are more Yirat Shamayim. But she has to be careful. In the next deed she does, she didn't lose her tznius totally. When it comes the next time, what she's going to do? So she has to again bring herself back and put herself in, again, the idea of right and wrong, because tznius is built upon right and wrong, and that's called seichel, the seichel, and therefore she puts it back, I did right, and when you do right, not I want and I like it, I want and like, it's your own self, that's a selfish, centered, egotistical self, that's not nice. That's busha itself, and therefore they lose the busha of the egotistical self. The Gemara says, never say why a woman wants to get married. It's not nice. You don't talk about those things. You're not allowed to speak like that. In today's world, in all the newspapers, every magazine, and every way, they talk unsneers, they talk uncouthly, they talk terrible. It's all in the street because there's no busha. There's no right and wrong. And they're animals in the street. Okay, animals in the world are full of animals, but they believe what? We come from animals, except all the right and wrong is in our own head. There's no real value of right and wrong in seichel. There's no real MS. MS is built upon the feelings of people. But we who come from Yaakov Avinu, which we have MS, and she was in each MS, and he had to stand up for MS. So Yaakov at that point had to announce MS. So he had to say, clear. To him it was like a pure statement, like a child. Somebody comes in a house and says something, and the kid says a word, I don't know, maybe embarrassing moment. The kid says truth. The kid's not embarrassing. But the parents, it's embarrassing, he says something. But for the kid, he's saying truth, simplistic thing. So they're saying simplistic thing because of the mitzvah, and he has to know that's what's happening. And not taiva, and not lust, and other desires I work, and then I gotta do my mitzvahs. And he said it in a pure way. He said it in a pure way. In a proper way, like Yaakov would say it. So that's okay. But if he would say it not in a proper way, or it would be not like Yaakov, then it's very ugly and full of taiva and lust. Terrible thing. So therefore, Sarah Imenu, when her act was in order to bring the mitzvah of announcing to the world of God now starting miracles, at that point, she got Yirat Shamayim because she listened to her husband. She controlled herself in bushes of right and wrong, and she knows the right thing. She overcome her inner feelings. I said that's even harder for a woman than a man, because a woman, her whole being is busha, her whole being is right and wrong, her whole being is a more physical part, and for her to give that up meant more of a height of a test, and therefore she definitely was rewarded. According to Orcha Tzadikim, even more nevuah should come to her. I want to go to a little further. He brings out an interesting piece. He says like this here: there were no greater. Rabbi, this is a Gemara in Tainus. In the Mishnah, Reshimim Gamliel Lo Hoy Yom Tevil Yisrael Kati Tu B'Av U'B'Yom Kippur. There's no happier time than Tu B'Av and Yom Kippur. What they do in Tu B'Av? The girls went out into the fields and they lined up. And the boys went out, each one, the girl says, who's tznius, look at the tznius girl. The one who says, I'm pretty, look at the pretty girl. One says, yichus, look at the yichus. The other girl had money, so look at the bank book. And one said, look at this. Each one said, whatever they got good points, I can earn money for you, I'm a hard-working woman, I'm a kind woman, whatever it is. They went out into the field and tuba. So why was that a very happy occasion? And also they equated to Yom Kippur. What? He says, Yom Kippur, Shehein Benosis Yo Yoitzes. The reason why Yom Kippur is a happy time, because everybody's happy, Yom Tovim, because God forgave the Jewish people. Since we took from we did the egel, we did the golden calf, and we sinned, and therefore the Almighty built a temple, right? And when did He come down? When did He come down from the Shemayim that Hashem said to Him He forgave Him? On Yom Kippur. So therefore it's a very happy time that Hashem forgave us. That was the day that He gave us the Luchos Achronos. But the question, why they say, why they had Luchos Achronos, and also, what does it got to do with Tu B'Av? How do you put the two together?
It's also a thing of forgiving. And Tu B'Av, they give the Shevet of Binyamin.
Yeah.
What they did.
That's what I'm going to talk about. Tu B'Av. That's why the minig is to go out. We're going to talk about it. That's exactly the point. Exactly so. Right. You got it. Mihine, Motzinu b'Pilegish Begiva. The story is Pilegish Begiva. The story was in the tribe of Binyamin. What happened there?
This couple were going outside in the street and nobody wanted to open the door for
them. Hachnasa Sarchim.
And I forgot what happened, but they...
All the men lived with her.
They lived with that woman, and then the husband took the body of the wife and chopped it to 12 pieces and sent each piece to all the tribes. To say how low society has turned, that the lowness of the values, the moral values of the people, right? That's what he did. So then everybody went and killed the tribe of Binyamin. There was a fight between all the tribes and the tribe of Binyamin, and the tribe of Binyamin was almost nobody left.
So what they do?
They made this holiday.
They made this holiday to bring back because Hashem forgave them, and they had nobody. It killed most of the people of Binyamin. So in order to bring back the tribe of Binyamin, they made sure that they would go out at this time of Tu B'Av. They would meet, and they'd be able to more shidduchim, more girls and boys would get married, in order to have a larger population of the tribe of Binyamin. And it says that, and what happened, and since that was a nice custom, and we'll explain why it's a good custom, it even continued the time of the Gemara on and on. to Mokum time of Sefula. I want to explain that a little bit. I want to explain what he says, which is interesting. And they cried at this time. And since this terrible thing happened, that they took this woman and they desecrated her and cut the body up, so the Jewish people cried, Bochu Yisrael l'fnei Hashem. Tziyon nifkad shevet echad miYisrael. Why they had the bechiyah? Bitam chas v'shalom nisbatel koyach shel Yaakov. As it says, Titin emes Yaakov, because it says that the emes is Yaakov, and the emes Yaakov means that he had to have his children be shalom, he had to have all his children to be good, come out good. And Yaakov didn't die. There's another whole piece here. So therefore, in order to prove the emes Yaakov, and we just mentioned Yaakov was ish emes, he always spoke the truth, and he went on that. So therefore, we had to continue bringing truth into the world. How do you bring truth in the world and Yaakov doesn't die? By we, the children of Yaakov, continuing the truth, which is the Torah, continuing to ourselves and to our children and our grandchildren, that they keep the truth of the Torah. We keep the truth of the Torah, then Yaakov doesn't die. And therefore, in order to keep the truth of the Torah, what do you got to do? Holos b'kromim, kedei she'izkayim shevet binyon, kedei she'yishar koiches she'Yaakov b'shleimusam. They hook it up that if a tribe of the Jews will disappear, what will happen? Then the truth of Yaakov would not be true, because Yaakov has to have 12 tribes. So one of the tribes disappear, and they get killed off. So what's going to happen? Yaakov was going to be full. Yaakov has to be true. So therefore, having children and going in the way of Torah is a way of bringing truth into the world. So therefore, when Yaakov said, please bring me my wife, because my wife I have to continue the 12 tribes, it's not just a story, well, it shows that Lamito Shel Davar, that his whole purpose was purely to continue, and he needed these 12 tribes to continue in all these 12 ways of all the 12 different, each tribe has another mazel, another spiritual part, the zodiac, and another form. He wanted that these forces, all the forces that exist in the totality, should come out and be with the Jewish nation, that it should continue, that the truth of Klal should continue in these 12 ways. And he needed that the wife he'll have would produce some of these children, these generations that will produce true Torah, true Klal Yisrael. Need all these units of 12 Jewish people together to make the unit of Klal Yisrael, the Jewish nation. And therefore, he had to do it, and which proves that it was L'Shem Shamayim. Because if Chas v'Shalom, years later, what happened was that the tribe of Binyamin would be destroyed, so then there'll be a Chisaron in Yaakov. The tribes, why be a Chisaron? There's one tribe, guys. Why do you have to? The answer is no. There was a very happy occasion that they'll bring back a tribe, and the Gemara said, because Titin emes to Yaakov. Yaakov, we want to. It's a big thing to sell. And that proves that when Yaakov Avinu said, bring me, after he worked for love for 7 years, bring me my woman in order to have children, it's not something to have children. For him, he wanted that his children should be a continuation of the Almighty's will in the world. And he did purely L'Shem Shamayim. And since we want to say that Yom Kippur also, when we got the second Luchos, when God forgave us from the sin of the ego, the sin of the golden calf. Now, with Hashem Belev Sholem, the Kabbalah Sator Machadesh, Umitachei B'yichud Goma Im Klal Yisrael. In other words, it's like a new relationship again, when God forgave us from the ego, and He gave us a second Luchos, like a new relationship between Klal Yisrael, of Kanfrei L'Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim. And therefore, Yom Kippur is a time, Yispar L'Kol Poli Oven Ve'ein Rishus L'Shotim L'Shtono. Ki Hu Yochid Agomish Yisrael L'Makadosh Baruch Hu Emes B'Shleimus. And therefore, when they made this takon of happiness, of the shleimus of Klal Yisrael continuing, when the Jewish people did the sin of the chet of the egel, like the emes of Yaakov disappear. Now we got back to Luchos Shashnein, and therefore the Jewish people are going to continue, which means Yaakov Avinu is going to continue. Therefore, also on Yom Kippur, their people are happy to go out in happiness to heaven. One second. Okay, that's the basic point. Okay, yes.
I can't say that Tznius is based on dignity. It will be based on kavod. It's not like based on Yirat Shamayim.
What?
Tzniut.
Tzniut is built upon
Yirat Shamayim.
Yirat Shamayim. Yirat Shamayim is built upon.
And the kavod, that's a kavod.
I explain that. That's why I read because he came a little late. In the Shiur of Busha, in Orchid Tzadikim, I started off to tell. That's kind of laminate. I explained from Orchid Tzadikim, V'hei hoyu yodim, hatznias, lo yodim hatznias, before they knew Tov and Ra, there were difference in tznias. After they ate from Eitz Hadas, Nemar, v'yispachenu ein shneim. V'chein kol bali v'chayim, zulas yodem ein lehem busha. Hoyu v'eim chachma. The word tznius and busha comes from basically the mind, the function of the mind of Tov and Ra. Because let's talk about the machine of the mind. When the mind says there's right and wrong, and you don't do the right thing, it's like an embarrassment to the mind. And what is the worst thing in Yom Hadin? When the Almighty will confront you and say, what did you do? The punishment is one thing, it's very hard. We see by Yosef. Yosef says to the brother, here I am, I'm alive. And the brothers were embarrassed. And their souls went out. And one of the Chazal, their souls went. Why? Because it's hard to face the truth. Which was the mind cannot accept. What did they do? Wow. When they said their souls went out, means like a mind-blowing thing in our modern language, that the mind just got blown out. Because the mind can't function like a short circuit.
It's embarrassing.
What?
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, but it's more than, because it's embarrassing, more than embarrassing. The mind, it's a mental thing of right and wrong. And the mind sees that they did wrong, and all their whole life they were in a dream, and they thought they're doing good, and they took their brothers, and even when they're fighting for them, looking for them, but they never thought they were wrong. They thought they were always right, and now they found they were wrong. Everything they did was bad and terrible. The whole identity of the crisis happening, that they just blew their minds. That's called they like their soul went out. It's called like blowing their mind out. They just couldn't function. It's a mental thing. They were embarrassed in that. When you're embarrassed, like blows your mind, like there's a short circuit in the system.
So when girls have a problem with tznius, they have something wrong in the mind?
In the mind. No, well, I'll tell you, they have problems. It's a very simple thing. They don't have seichel. They already have lost the fine points of what a tzelem elokim, the image of God is. They're like animals. They lost the human dignity and became animals. And human beings today are animals. Because the real story is this, I said originally, and when a person eats, it's an embarrassing thing. How can you eat? Why? You're in Shalom Elokim, how can you eat? It's not a nice thing. That's why the people who shleim are very careful who they eat with. They don't hate anybody. Everyone eats in the street, you know. So forget, eating, change the word from eating to sex, the same thing. Eating in the street, instead of saying eating. In other words, all tithers already are open and then talked about in the world. Everybody talks to it. Nothing wrong. Everything, all tithers are allowed. And other rabbi, holding back yourself, sometimes you're frustrating yourself, you're hurting yourself, you're getting sick, and it's the worst thing in the world. That's the values of today. Which means there is no busha at all. It's all done. Yes.
Do you understand that to be in this embarrassment that all the levels of the soul leave, or the level associated with, like, say, the connection of mind and body, like the neshama?
That's right. Well, it's only that part, because you see, we cannot degrade the human being today. It's not a human being anymore, but it's getting kind of low. getting low. Our society is very low.
So wouldn't you think the higher aspects of soul are rebellion, the embarrassment somehow?
The higher aspect is when that's why I mentioned the text here. I mentioned very clearly what is called a chassid. Chassid means his face gets white. Why? Because either two reasons. Either because he's more sensitive, and therefore he gets whiter, and what's happening, and if he has to make sure he doesn't get white, or the other way around, he has to hold in his embarrassment and be white to do the mitzvahs of Hashem. Okay? So therefore, chassid, when you talk about a chassid, means beyond the call of duty. He has to get his face white. He's embarrassed to do the mitzvahs. They say, what are you doing? Like a woman like you, an educated woman, going learning Torah like this. I tell the story, true story. Baruch Hashem helped me to influence a guy. He was a sailor. He used to talk to him all the time to be religious, like Torah. Okay. Keep Shabbos. Well, Shabbos and him was not exactly together. And he used to talk to him all the time. And then I find out years later, he's a married guy. He has about 6 children, 4 children. And he's married to Hutchinson, Professor Hutchinson's daughter. Now you know who Professor Hutchinson was. The head of Chicago University, called the Open University. In those days they got children. He was the biggest educator in America. He got children at the age of 12, moved to university. They're developing the mind, the body. Hutchinson, Professor Hutchinson. So I call him up. I said, listen, how you doing? This may be an introduction to your father-in-law, you know. He has this foundation of $20 million. And he lives where was he? I can't remember the name of the place. I think I'm right away. I flew out there. And he's involved with the 4 freedoms. He is the biggest man of peace in the world. He's trying to put Greece with Turkey together, and he has this big foundation from Ford and all these, Exxon and all these people all gave money, a lot of money, and he has this organization for peace, world peace. Something. I go to see him. I tell him I have to prepare my brochures. I have this World Peace Center, and I tell him, listen, maybe you can help me out, give me money, give me names. He told me how to get names and money and everything else. He says, listen, he says, I can't understand. He says, we live in the 20th century. And my daughter's antiquated. She's religious. She covers her hair. She wears a shapeful long sleeve. What's happening? Oh, she's going back to the ancient. What's happening? What's explain to her? I can't understand it. And I'm embarrassed, he says. You know, he's among the educated people of the world. You know, he's one of the heights of, I don't know if you heard of the guy, like a storybook, but he couldn't understand how his daughter can be a religious woman and convert to Judaism. He's a goy. And he converted to Judaism. And he's the big man in the world, standing on top of the world. It bothered him. He was embarrassed. They tried to explain him, blah, blah, blah. What happened really was they and their family in a car and they got killed altogether. Long Island. And to him, the wife, 2 children are alive. I don't know where they are. What? Yeah, him, the husband who did Shiur. The guy I knew was because I used to talk to him years about being religious. He was a sailor, handsome guy, nice guy, wonderful fellow, and he was a sailor. Then he married her. Maybe she made him more religious. I don't know what the story is. And but they were embarrassed. You see, they were embarrassed that they're religious and Jewish, and. Embarrassing is a thing of a mental mind of rights and wrongs. For Rabbi should do the greatest thing. For him, it's antiquated. It's embarrassing for him. Antiquated. He's the most advanced, and his daughter's antiquated. A fossil. And there's a very serious thing. And he, on the other hand, so Hasidus is somebody who gets white. Why white? Either 2 possibilities. One is, in order to do extra, beyond the call of duty, they get embarrassed because people say to them, "What are you doing? You're such a smart woman. Why are you being so kind and exerting yourself, not taking care of? How are you helping people? You're getting money. What's happening? Oh, you're losing your rocket and doing things for that money. How can I? What are you doing?" whatever they may say. So therefore, in a certain level of neshama, the question of that there is a loss in it. Because you're not a chassid and not regular. But there's always in every human being, no matter what, every human being has it in it, so he's a human being. There's a way of rousing the flame in every human being to grow and grow up. So therefore we can't say all levels, we got in today's world, but in the very low level. If you read the life, the story of the rise and the fall of the Roman Empire, or the rise and fall of the Aztec Indians, read the rise and fall of different societies, it starts when it creeps in, when the values of society fall down. And that's the system of Israel. Israeli values are zilch. This is the moral ethics of Israel is the worst in the world. An Israeli and American just cheats and steals. They have their own rules. They're the hardest type of people. They go and I tell you, they go on the road, hooray for me and the heck with you. They have there's no sensitivity. You only got big mouths and big ideas, and they talk, and it's just a busha. Imagine, just think of a busha. We're supposed to be the people. The world looks up to us. The whole world looking up to what? We now get Israel. We should be ethical, moral, be God's people, and do godly things, and be spiritual and holy, ethical, moral, just, kind. And what are we? Worse than the worst animal. They open your radio, and what happens in the Knesset? How they speak in there. It's like a terrible, there's a whole circus going on. It's embarrassing for us. And how they act in the world. Oh, Israel, the Holy Land. Come on, quickly go. That holy hotel costs $10,000 more than any hotel else. And this holy water you're drinking costs you more money. Give me the money. It's disgusting. It's ugly. It's the most ugliest thing. We're supposed to, the world's looking up. So we dirty ourselves. We're embarrassing to God. We're embarrassment to God. So of course He's taking away the land and bringing the Arabs in Hebron. We don't deserve Hebron. We don't deserve the Holy Land. What are we doing here? We don't deserve it. So we might as well go to the Arabs. They're at least they don't claim they're holy and spiritual. They say we want the land. It's ours. They have no embarrassment. The Israelis don't have no embarrassment. So why do we talk about it? But we who are religious, so we have to be Yirat Shamayim. We can't lose our sense of values of right and wrong. And we have to be the embarrassing people. We're embarrassed for the state of Israel. We're embarrassed what's going on. We're really embarrassed. They're terrible. We're not criticizing it, but it's an embarrassing thing. This is what God, Jewish people waited for 2,000 years. It's a very embarrassing situation for God and His people. What can you do is change it. You come here and make a better society. Ethical, moral, kind, good, busha, rights and wrongs. That's your job. Make your children the proper children of sneers, of kindness, of right and wrong. That's what you gotta do. You can't change others, but start a new life. That's what you gotta do. And that's why our kids in Israel have a lot of problems with midos problems. They're hard midos problems. Real midos problems. Somehow this land opens up these kids' souls, and they become again alive and vibrant in their school. Yes.
I just wanted to ask whether he is that also. What about the Goyim? Even if they don't have Yirat Shamayim, do they still have based on their das of a human being?
That's right.
Right? Tzelem Elohim, it applies to them also.
That's right.
It's not because it's Yirat Shamayim. Because if it's Yirat Shamayim,
it's
then
built upon some. There has to be some fine feeling. And when Yehuda goes to Haro, he's trying to find a place in his heart to say, you may have rules and regulations, but open your heart. You're going to be a rat, and you're going to make a poor father die, an old man die, and I'm going to have to be cursed out. Where's your feelings? What's happening? He's a feeling. Expected. Why? Because the mind. It has right and wrong, but they don't have right and wrong in their mind. They lost a lot of it. You say.
But they could, if they wanted.
It's hard because the values have changed in the world.
Yeah, can you still say Goyim should have Yirat Shamayim also? Not the way we do,
Yeah,
but
some way, that's right. Some way,
fear
that's
of
right.
God,
That's
and some do.
Some way, some way. They know about it. Yeah, they know about it.
Because all human beings know.
Because that's how the nature of the mind is in the body, yes.
I'm just thinking in say Goyim that there are the Noetic laws, right?
Yeah, no,
And we
no.
have the Torah and the commandments.
That's right.
So when you think about right and wrong, you have it in front of you
That's right.
as they would. So
That's right. But even in their laws, there's no embarrassment. Basic, fundamental rights and wrongs is gone today in the world. You go open a newspaper, you read. Years ago, when I first came back to Australia, you left your door open, no problem. No even thought of closing the door. Today, my house was robbed 3-4 times. And you're like, not away. Ask around.
in this conversation reminds me of a discussion a while back when people started thinking that the big question of what would cure the world. And most people said love. And it was like, well, it's not even practiced, so it's not even possible, but truly it's rules and laws.
That's right, rules and laws.
And people don't
Rights and wrongs, right? Same thing in your line. Eating the right foods, sleeping the right way. The rules are basic rules of decent, proper living.
And there's always a consequence.
That's right.